rare and balanced view on politics in today's world. Based on facts, born of rationality, common sense, and logic, providing context on today's events. This is American Perspective with Rick Thomas.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to American Perspective. I am your host, Rick. Well, it's been a very busy day in Minnesota today. You know, you would think that maybe the extreme cold would have tempered some of this down, but, yeah. No such luck. Anyway, I've got to kind of start things off tonight after, of course, we do the pledge and on this day in American history. I've got some comments. Dan Bongino did an interview with Sean Hannity, and I definitely want to play that for you. That's going to be a longer clip than usual, but anyway. Also, I want to tell everybody or talk to everybody about the snowstorm, and then we'll get into the absolute disaster that is going on in Minnesota, and these people. I'm just telling you, we're getting to a point where the Insurrection Act is going to have to get called. There's riots going on right now in Minnesota. There was a gentleman on Rumble somewhere that was showing like 3 different feeds, live feeds from like ex folks or whatever who were there. On the ground in Minnesota, they're getting ready to like light up a bonfire, and he had like a big pile of wood in the middle of the street. There was a barrel that had a bunch of stuff in it. Yeah, it's going all over. And of course, any other leftist city is going to do this. I mean, Portland, Seattle, I don't know. They're all over the place, and all I got to say is, man, you people, I'm just telling you, you people are stupid. Now, they're freaking out over the latest, which, unfortunately, there was another officer or agent involved shooting. We'll get into that here in a little bit. I don't have too many details because, obviously, it just happened this morning, but I will try and break down what I know and everything that was there. But anyway. All right, let's go ahead and get things kicked off. Tonight, we have on deck for the pledge none other than our own Bonnie. Bonnie is up for the pledge. So if you are of mind, please stand. Kind of, I guess, a little bit in terms of fate. I did not plan on this, but this is the Fat Paws shirt from theflagshirt.com that I'm wearing tonight. But anyway, if you all would please stand for the pledge, you know, please stand or remove your hat. Sorry, I forgot to get our headline sponsor up. But anyway, if you are of mind, please stand or remove your hat. And if you're wearing one like me, place your hand over your heart and follow along with Bonnie as she recites the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And, of course, I thank you, Bonnie, for that wonderful rendition of the pledge. If you would like to hear your rendition of the pledge played here on the program, all you need to do is record yourself reciting or performing the pledge in your style. Take that audio file, video file, whatever kind of file, attach it to an email address, or attach it to an email and address it to fans, F-A-N-S, at AmericanPerspective.online. That's fans, F-A-N-S, at AmericanPerspective.online. and I will, of course, get you into the rotation. We are at 21. I'd like to get 26 before the end of 2026. I just got 5 more to go. So, if you would, please go ahead and do one, and make sure you send it in. If you use your phone to record your audio, you can then use the share option, the SHARE share option, and do the exact same thing. Send it to fans, FANS, at AmericanPerspective.online, and I will get you into the rotation. So please go ahead and do that if you haven't done it already. I know there's a couple of Whiskey Warrior P1s out there that have not done it yet, and they're just kind of hanging in the winds. I don't know if they just don't want to do it, or if I know one of them tried, and apparently the file was too big. So they got to figure out another way to send it to me other than email, but that's the way things work, technology. Anyway, let's get on to tonight's headline sponsor, which is, of course, the Institute on the Constitution. There we go. The Institute on the Constitution, which was formed in 2004 as a 501c3 nonprofit with one singular mission, and that is to restore the constitutional republic through grassroots education. All courses and materials are, based off of the American view of law and government, which is why their website is theamericanview.com. But the American view of law and government, as defined in the Declaration of Independence, in the following 3 key points. 1, there is a God. 2, our rights come from him. And 3, the purpose of civil government is to secure and protect our God-given rights. The IOTC offers the opportunity to educate yourself on our most precious founding document, the Constitution of the United States. They offer a free class, and I'm just telling you right now, there it is. I'm going to go ahead and show it to you. There it is, right there. They offer a free class. All you got to do is fill out this box that's right up above my head right now on the screen. So go to theamericanview.com/act. Theamericanview.com/act. That's ACT. And fill out this box that's right above my head. Just get your name, first and last name, and your email. And then what happens is they will send you the lessons free through your email. There's 12 of them. They're about 15, 20 minutes long. They have videos that go along with them. And they send them to you via your email. As you finish each one, they'll give you another one. So it's a good little self-study course. And then once you go through all of that, it's learning at your own pace. Once you go through all of that, you may want to consider to take one of their in-person classes where they have an instructor to discuss about it and to have lively discussions about the Constitution, obviously. So I would recommend that for sure. Take their free course, then take one of their in-person courses, and you might want to go and become an instructor yourself. That would be fantastic. You can also purchase all of their courses and all of their student materials and stuff in their shop. They have here, as soon as it gets here, there it is. There's a lot of the courses and materials and everything else. They've got student materials, the truth of America's founding. They've got all kinds of different things that you can purchase, packs, courses. Go ahead and just do this. If you want to learn about the Constitution, the proper Constitution, you should do this. And they've got self-study manuals, guided learning edition, which has videos and PDFs and things of that nature. So you can take your choices and kind of go from there. But anyway, head on over to theamericanview.com. That's theamericanview.com. and you'll be presented with this wonderful page that you see behind me, and you can go and take a look. And they, of course, have a 3-step plan to help restore the republic, which the first one is pray, the second one is to study, and the third one, of course, which is sometimes the hardest, is to act. So head on over to theamericanview.com to find the Institute on the Constitution. And also, don't forget, too, you can also head over to their Legacy Library. And if you head on over to their Legacy Library, you can get the Constitution of the United States in a fabulous Saddleback leather-bound U.S. Constitution copy. This is easy. If you really want one of these, you can go and just head on to constitution.americanperspective.online, and you can pick up one of these rounded corner books that are fantastic. Let's take a look at this. This is the 1/8 of an inch of Saddleback leather wrapped around pages and pages that are water and tear resistant. Look at that. No cheap glue here, folks. That is stitching that goes all the way through the leather and the pages contained within. It's got a 100-year warranty against materials and manufacturing defects, such that if something does go wrong, you can send it back to the manufacturer and they will either fix it or replace it for free. It is Buddy tested, Buddy approved, Billy tasted, Billy approved. My youngest whiskey warrior has confirmed that the information contained within will help you to gain your civics badge in Scouts, as well as your civics exam and maybe even that naturalization test if you are taking one. Head on over to constitution.americanperspective.online and get yours today. Also, G tells me that the stitching is patriotic enough to support Captain America's boxers. Thanos stood no chance. I'm assuming that you're going to have to know what you're going to have to know about the Avengers movies in order to understand all of that. But anyway, go to constitution.americanperspective.online and pick yours up today. And also check out the rest of the books and things that they have to offer. And that would be fantastic. And I do appreciate them for being a sponsor of this wonderful show. All right, let's get into it. Dan Bongino made his first public appearance and first interview after leaving the FBI. And it was on the Sean Hannity show. Now, we all know that Dan Bongino is kicking his show back up. I have a feeling that he may end up grabbing a lot more. What do you call it? He may end up grabbing more viewership now that he's done, because he came out fiery the other day talking about all of the things that he wants to do and everything else. But he did this on the Sean Hannity show. So let's go ahead and take a listen to good old Dan as he tells us what's coming up with his program.
Is officially returning on Monday, February the 2nd. We're proud to welcome him back for the first television interview since leaving the Bureau. Former Deputy FBI Director Dan Bongino. Great to have you. I want people to know something. You told me privately when you did go in that you were likely there for 1 year just to try and get things on track, and then you did not have a desire to stay there a long time. I want people to know that.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to come in there. I figured it was going to take about a year to reorganize, get some accountability back, get the refocus from what they were doing. I say when I get in there were two FBIs, Sean. There was one that had been fully weaponized and trained to focus on all the wrong things. Then you had the other guys, the door kickers, the guys who were out there breaking up violent gangs, chasing terrorists. The thing was finding who was part of what group. So, we had to find, investigate, and then take action on a lot of this. That wasn't easy. I mean, no one comes forward and admits, hey, I was part of the weaponized prior regime. But once we got everything refocused and we had the president's directive to go forth and just get these bad guys off the street, You know, it was go time. And when you combine that with this focus on securing the border, it shouldn't be a surprise to the American people that the violent crime rate just fell to. I saw the murder rate is the lowest it's been since 1900. You know, it's unprecedented. I mean, by definition, there's no modern precedent for that. And we did this. It was not complicated, Sean. Cash and I figured out very early on broken windows policing. If it could work in New York City with Rudy Giuliani, it could work nationally. Long story short, about 70 to 80% of violent street crime is committed by 0.5% of the population. You go and get these dirtbags and these mutts off the street, these pieces of garbage. You use UFAP warrants, Vickers, RICO crime, gang statutes, any federal statute we could dig up. Trust me, we used it. We were very creative with how we use this stuff. We got those agents out there rolling, and they were more than happy to go do it. When they picked these guys off the street, you know what? A lot of you don't know murderers out there. You don't, because there's not that many. So when you pick them off the street, that's what happened. And the president was all about it from day one.
You know, look, we saw the fewest overall number of killings nationwide since 1900. You got 5 out of the top 10 most wanted. That's more than Biden got in 4 years. The number of overall arrests increasing by a whopping 197%. And all the media ever does is attack Cash and you and the DOJ. That sounds like, you know, that speaks for itself. And you did say in an ex post, you've got scores to settle when you get back on the air. I kind of like Dan Bongino out of a suit and very real and keeping it real like you always do. It sounds like you mean business. Want to give us a little preview?
Yeah, I mean, these media people, they're like a full diaper all the time. I mean, you know, my daughter just turned 14, so it's been about 13 years since I changed any diapers. But that's the media. Some of the story, here, let me give you a perfect example. If this doesn't make you laugh, this was just today. Perfect timing. I didn't even intend to talk about this. Axios, obviously left-leaning. Axios has this headline about the homicide rate being the lowest since the 1900s. I was like, wow, okay. I start reading down the article like, well, there's 1,000 excuses as to why President Trump and his administration didn't do it. Meanwhile, I lived it. I know what we did and didn't do for these dumbasses, right? Same day, about an hour later, I see a New York Times headline. Kash Patel's FBI has made America less safe. Do you dipwads even read your own headlines? Are you that stupid? These are these media morons. People who've never spent a day wearing a badge, never kicked in a door, never arrested some child predator or some bank robber or some gang member. These morons don't know anything about the safety status of the country. The border's sealed. The military's never been stronger under Pete Hegseth. And the FBI went out and just arrested a historic number of animals off the street, and the murder rate plunged. This isn't hard to figure out. But the same day, murder rate's all-time low. The country's less safe. Do these people even hear themselves? They are a big, full diaper. I'm tired of these idiots. Think about where we are right now in the country. If you listen to the media, you would think the last year was Armageddon. Almost zero illegal border crossings. Inflation's now relatively contained. GDP growth is projected to hit 5, potentially 6. The trade deficit's falling down. The murder rate's at an all-time low. Violent crime's at a near all-time low. I mean, what freaking country are these morons living? I mean, what are they looking at? Are they missing this stuff? These are not small items. I haven't even gotten to Maduro being out of power. The Cubans are now, the Cuban leader.
Yeah, so there you go. I mean, Dan is laying it out there. Boy, I can't wait for him to come back on the 2nd. Seriously. I honestly, I can't wait for him to come back. He's probably going to be on fire for a little while. On his show, I'm sure. Anyway, all right. Well, I was just informed by my unofficial producer P1s out there, and believe me, all of the Whiskey Warrior P1s have been around long enough. They are all technically unofficial producers, but I was just informed that I skipped the most important segment of the night, and so let's go ahead and kind of rewind back and pick that back up. So, for tonight, on this day in American history. And, of course, for On This Day in American History, we read from the American Patriots Almanac, written by William J. Bennett and John T. E. Cribb, chock full of all kinds of information and factoids about our wonderful country that we call home. Tonight, being January 24th, we're going to be talking about gold. And no, I'm not talking about birch gold, or I'm not talking about freedom gold, or not talking about, no, I'm talking about the original gold rush. So on January 24th, 1848, a carpenter named James Marshall discovered gold in Northern California. His discovery set off the grandest gold rush in American history. Marshall made his discovery while building a sawmill on the South Fork of the American River for wealthy landowner John Sutter. He spotted some shining flecks in the water, scooped them up, and declared, "Boys, by God, I believe I found a gold mine." He took the nuggets to Sutter, who tried to keep the discovery quiet out of fear his land would be overrun. Unfortunately, word leaked out. Word leaked out, especially after newspaper publisher and merchant Sam Brannan bought all the shovels he could find and then paraded the streets of San Francisco wearing a bottle of gold, or waving a bottle of gold, yelling, "Gold, gold, gold," from the American River. He resold his shovels at a handsome profit. The news filtered back east after President Polk announced an abundance of gold that could scarcely command belief. The stampede was on. By 1848, tens of thousands of 49ers, by 1849, tens of thousands of 49ers were headed for California. The New York Herald reported that in every Atlantic seaport, vessels are being filled up, societies are being formed, husbands are preparing to leave their wives, sons are parting with their mothers, and bachelors are abandoning their comforts. All are rushing head over heels toward the El Dorado on the Pacific. They traveled over land and by sea, from the U.S. and around the world. As far away as China, California became known as Gumshan, the mountain of gold. In about a year, San Francisco grew from a tiny little hamlet into a city of around 25,000 people. A lucky few actually struck it rich in the gold fields. Most did not. Sutter himself died bankrupt after fortune seekers invaded his lands, but the gold rush spurred the development of the West. By 1850, California contained enough people to become the 31st state. That was on this day in American history. All right. Now, gold rush. And think about this. Gold is, I think, somewhere in the realm of like $35,000 to $4,000 an ounce today. Might even be higher. It topped here not too long ago. It hit a record high. I know that much. A lot of people are trying to get us getting close to retiring to diversify into gold. But I personally am investing in and drinking my own version of gold, liquid brown. Tonight I'm drinking Four Roses single barrel whiskey out of the Four Roses single barrel bottle. And that was poured inside the Whiskey Warrior P1 gifted glass. It takes stones to drink with whiskey, which, of course, there's the requisite stones right there in the bottom of the glass. I took a sip during Dan Bongino's interview. But here we go. There we go. Yeah. Ooh, that's smooth. All right. Well, for those of you who are east of the Rockies, just so you know, I'm sure this number is actually increased, but more than 15,000 U.S. flights have been disrupted by America's massive winter storm. You know, I heard tell from somebody, and I won't say who, in Texas, and I won't say who, that the news media down there has been talking about it being the end of all the world or whatever. Yeah, they always do that over here too. We usually get like Snowmageddon 2026 or something like that if we were to be buried in a bunch of snow. Which, of course, the burying in a bunch of snow usually means only about 3 inches. Anyway, so yeah, more than 15,000 flights have now been disrupted. America Airlines, of course, leads cancellations with 822 flights that have been grounded. A severe winter storm is going there as of 5:40 a.m. today. The website flightaware.com, which provides real-time data on flight disruptions, noted that nearly 10,000 flights had been canceled through Monday, with another 5,000 being delayed. So, yeah, there you go. Anyway, hopefully you guys are getting ready and digging in. Yeah. And yeah, a lot of it has to deal with the ice. I know ice is a problem no matter where. Well, ice as in the frozen water is a problem no matter where you go. But anyway, Trump has announced that FEMA is fully prepared for Winter Storm Fern, as Winter Storm Fern goes and attacks the Midwest and the East. Like I said, it seems to be like from the Rockies, the east of the Rockies, where all of this is going on. They anticipate over 235 million people are under winter storm warnings across the United States. Frigid temperatures, snow, and ice to parts of 40 different states, stretching from Texas over to the Carolinas and up the East Coast. So, yeah, anyway, it's coming. So Trump urged residents in Fern's path on Friday night to stay safe and stay warm, and that the Federal Emergency Management Agency is ready to respond to the potentially historic storm. They're talking about this being really historic. Trump wrote on Truth Social, quote, "I have been briefed on the record cold wave and historic winter storm that will be hitting much of the United States this weekend. The Trump administration is coordinating with state and local officials. FEMA is fully prepared to respond, stay safe, and stay warm." So, yeah. Federal government has nearly 30 search and rescue teams on standby. Officials had more than 7 million meals, 600,000 blankets, and 300 generators placed throughout the area the storm was expected to cross, according to FEMA. So freezing rain and snow have been dumped in parts of Texas, and almost 17,000 customers are without power in the state as of early Saturday, according to Power Outage US. And there's a link here. I'm wondering if I should go and check that link and see what is there. Okay, so total number of outages right now. Well, here, let me go ahead and show you. So the total number of outages, they have it in Texas, and it looks like that's Louisiana. So the outage map shows that it's just under 147, or just over 147,000, just under 148,000. So, yeah, there you go. I mean, it's already started, so that's cool. I might have to bookmark that, poweroutage.com. Anyway, so, yeah, just be prepared. That's all I got to say. Do the best you can to be prepared. The Big Apple, meaning New York, is forecasted to see snow between 3 and 9 a.m. tomorrow, with a possibility of up to 16 inches falling within New York. So, yeah, this is supposed to be some like big thing. Big thing. Here's the snow forecast and weather, winter weather alerts. So there's a snow forecast up here, and let me just go ahead and zoom in on that. So here's the snow forecast. You can see they've got quite a few inches from places that don't normally get snow. I mean, Denver usually gets snow. They don't really care. Kansas City, Oklahoma City, Dallas, Jackson, Mississippi, Nashville, Louisville, all of those places generally don't get a lot of snow from what I understand, but they're looking like they're going to be. And then you have, of course, the winter weather alerts, which are right here. And these, as you can see, are from all over the place. They have winter storm warnings stretching through Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Missouri, or Missouri, however you want to say it, Kentucky, all over. So they're pushing. They're really pushing. And, yep. All right. Well, enough about the storm. Just hunker down, do the best you can, and hopefully you'll be able to pull out or get out from underneath as the storm passes. Well, speaking of storms, there is a storm happening in Minnesota. Most of those people up there, they're pretty much used to the stormy weather and the cold and everything else. They don't really give a crap. Well, apparently, these people are even more stupid. They are standing out in the freezing cold and protesting. Not only that, but even just in the last couple of days, not even a couple of days, like even the last day or so, the number of attacks on ICE have increased. Well, this is probably one of the most unorthodox attacks I think I've ever seen on any individual, but an ICE agent may be losing their finger. Yes, I said that right. An ICE agent may be losing their finger. You look right here where I've got it. Somebody bit the complete tip off of their finger. Somebody bit off the tip of a federal officer's finger during the Minneapolis chaos. I don't know about you, but I'm going to tell you first off, it takes a lot to bite through your fingers. I'm just going to say. And where this idiot came from, I have no idea why she bit it, but apparently, because of the bacteria that are in our mouths, there's a good possibility that he could lose that finger thanks to this anti-ICE rioter, complete, utter, stupid moron, going and attacking this ICE officer. Now, this occurred after the incident where a Border Patrol agent fatally shot a man. So, apparently, and this happened, but apparently this individual, now they've been named, I'm not going to name him, but he was killed during a Department of Homeland Security operation that was targeted to go and get a specific criminal. A specific criminal. And this individual, well, I got a couple other stories here too, but this individual, I'll move on to the shooting anyway. This individual was they were looking for him. He was an illegal alien. He's wanted for violent assault. And this individual who was shot apparently approached U.S. Border Patrol officers with what was described as a 9mm handgun. The officers attempted to disarm the suspect, according to the DHS, but the armed suspect violently resisted. Now, here's the thing, folks. I don't know whether he violently resisted or not. I mean, it's there. The only angle that I have right now that I have to even close to analyze, the only angle that I have, it's kind of hard to tell what exactly is going on. Okay. But this individual has been described as a quote unquote legal observer, which, I mean, the terminology doesn't exist in actual law. It's just a terminology for people, organizations, to try and make people convinced that, hey, this individual has like some legal right to be here. They don't. You're just an observer. All you are is an individual who is, observing things. Now, according to the training that these quote unquote legal observers have, they're not supposed to engage in, they're not supposed to participate in, they're not supposed to stop any actions that are going on. All they are to do is, if you think about this, is to be a objective observer, write down names, incidents, so on and so forth, all of this other stuff, all right? And that's all they're supposed to do. Well, I've got video of this event, at least one angle, and it's going to be hard. I'm serious. It's going to be hard for anybody to actually see what's going on because there's so much milling about. And I am going to play the audio, but I'm going to tell you right now, there's a lot of whistles in this. And so the whistles are going to drown out anything that might have been going on with the entire thing. So, yeah, good luck with this. So anyway, here it is. This is the one video angle that I have. Now, this is supposedly a new shot. It's a new angle because the other angle, which is the one that everybody's already seen, is supposedly from the opposite side. So let's go ahead and watch this. And as you can hear, they're whistling, honking. They're trying to let everybody know what's going on, whatever. They're whistling. Oh, my gosh. They can't even, they're just all whistling.
Go.
Now, supposedly, the person videotaping is... So the guy... All right, I want to point this out. So the guy is apparently this guy right here, I believe. This guy right here in the center of your screen. So this guy right here in the center of the screen is the one. Now, he's standing there and apparently trying to direct traffic. I don't know why he's trying to direct traffic. This really doesn't make any sense as to what the hell he's doing there in the first place. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and keep moving here.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
So, of course, they're yelling at the ICE agents. And so I don't know what's going on here. They're kind of like scuffling. And now they're trying to take this guy down.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
They've got him down on the ground. They're attempting to get him down on the ground, and he's resisting. I can tell you that much. Oh, there it goes. There's the shots. There's the shots, and
What the fuck did you just do? What the fuck?
oh. Now, okay. So let's be honest here, all right? I'm just saying. Just the thing about it is that, yeah, there's a lot to unpack here, and it's something that yeah. First of all, he was armed. All right. So let's just put that aside. Whether he was legally carrying or not makes absolutely no difference. Okay. Whenever you walk into a situation and you're under arms, your first thing that you are supposed to do, whether you're legally or illegally carrying, I don't really care. Your first thing is to attempt to stay out of harm's way. You do not, in any way, shape, or form, if you're armed, at least the more sensible people, in any way, shape, or form, you do not resist officers, badged officers. They obviously already know. They already know that it's ICE. They know that they're there. They're whistling. So they already know that it's ICE officers. And if you are under arms, you keep yourself as calm, cool, and collected as possible. Now, here's an image of the pistol that apparently this guy had. This is identified now as a Sig Sauer P320. It is not an inexpensive weapon. Reportedly, it's about $2,000. Okay. And he has what appears to be what is called, or what's being called, a red dot sight. Right there, you can see it on the end of the weapon. Okay. A red dot sight, which is for easy acquisition of your target. Now, he apparently was carrying at least this one magazine, which was in the weapon. I'm assuming that when they cleared it, they pulled the magazine out, but he supposedly was carrying another magazine. Now, somebody said that the barrel was threaded for a silencer. I don't see that in this image. There is no silencer in this image, first of all, and I don't see where it would be threaded for it. The end looks like it's just, what do they call it, that crosshatch pattern on the end. So I don't think that there was anything to it. But apparently this is a 9mm. It's what I've been told is, or what I use in terms of a description, is a full frame, meaning it's for a large individual to hold. Something that might be similar would be, say, the Beretta PT92s, something along those lines. The Beretta 92s that you see in war movies and things like that. That would be 9mm or whatever. It's a full frame semi-automatic, and I'm just going to say that while someone could carry it. And potentially in the cold winter north of Minnesota, you could carry it concealed because there'd be a lot of bulky clothes to conceal it. But I don't know if I'd necessarily say that this is a very comfortable weapon to carry around concealed. It's a little bit big in my opinion, but that's just me. Anyway, this appears to be a custom job, so it's probably even more expensive than the $2,000 that I quoted. But it appears to be a custom job, custom coloring, custom, obviously the red dot sights there, etc. So I'm just saying, I don't know for sure as to why it would be there. Now, I'm being told by a couple of my Whiskey Warrior P1s in the Rumble chat, I'm being told that kind of roughed up crosshatch thing at the very end of the barrel is a cap that you can apparently unscrew to expose the screws to put a suppressor on there. I don't want to call it a silencer because that's not true. It is a suppressor. But anyway, I digress. So this is apparently what the man was carrying. And anyway, the point that I'm trying to make here is that, first of all, if you're going to go into a charged situation like that, you probably don't want to necessarily call attention to the fact that you're carrying a weapon. You certainly don't want to carry a weapon, or, well, better yet, the vast majority of people that I know who are concealed weapons carriers, they don't even want to be in places like this. See, their interest is in self-survival, not necessarily going into a situation where they could potentially get into an altercation, especially with law enforcement. And so this kind of behavior, for him to actually go into this type of situation, is making me wonder clearly what his point of not only carrying but also being there in the first place. Again, he most people that I know of who are law-abiding citizens, if they're approached by law enforcement, they keep their hands away, they keep calm, they don't react to the law enforcement, they don't resist. You know, they're very, very calm, very easygoing. That is not necessarily what I saw in that video. And apparently he tried to go for his weapon. This is what started the whole thing, is that he attempted to go for his weapon. I don't know if he actually, I've heard a couple of different stories, but he may have actually pulled it out, got it unholstered, and that's when the Border Patrol agent decided that his life and other people's lives were in danger, and so he used lethal force to take him out. Now, a lot of people are going to say, hey, wait a minute, I heard that video. How many times did he shoot? Meaning, how many times did the Border Patrol agent shoot? Well, I'm just going to point out something to you, okay? When you're in a lethal, deadly situation, their training in particular, and I'm only going to discuss their training, but their training in particular is to essentially neutralize the threat. Now, contrary to what everybody and their brother who has seen all kinds of movies and television shows and everything else, you are not taught to shoot a leg. Unlike Joe Biden seems to think. You're not taught to shoot a hand. You're not taught to shoot a shoulder. There's reasons for that. There is reasons for that. And that is because your ability to put a round or more on target depends on two things. One is your skill, and two is your skill under fire. You, in no uncertain circumstances, do you try to hit something small. Because what you're trying to do is eliminate the threat. The best way to eliminate the threat is to hit center mass, hit within the body, where all of the internal organs and everything are. Even headshots, by the way. Even headshots are questionable. Now, the other thing that you are trained to do is not this, shoot once, see if the guy's still moving, shoot him again, see if the guy's still moving, shoot him again. No. You pull that trigger until either the magazine is empty or the threat is neutralized. Preferably both. And you keep shooting until the person or persons or whatever your target, you keep shooting until that stops moving. End of story. They keep moving, they're a threat. There is none of this special Hollywood stuff where, I can shoot, they shoot you in the hand and, he's disarmed now and everything's cool. No. That's all special effects BS, folks. It's all special effects BS. You pull that trigger until the target stops moving. That's it. That's all it is. Not to mention the fact that an arm or a leg or whatever is not only a small target, but it can also move fairly quickly. Your center mass on the body doesn't move as fast as an arm or a leg or even a head. There's no way you can hit. There's no way you can target that and hit. The military, they train you to shoot center mass because that is the largest area, the less likely that you are going to miss, and the more likely that you are going to neutralize the target. And again, these people who sit here and talk about all this crap, they've never gone through the training. They've never been in a situation where they have had to shoot. There's just no particular way, shape, or form that anyone who is quarterbacking or armchair quarterbacking this thing who says, no, you don't shoot center mass. You shoot him in the foot. You shoot him in the leg. You shoot him in the head. No. That person, the minute you hear something out of a person's mouth that says that, they are dumb. They are stupid. Okay? Now, it's not just the shooting that happened as well. Well, anti-ICE agents apparently have now brought a U-Haul van with shields and gear to the Minneapolis Federal Building in an attempt to interfere and impede the feds. So, folks, just stop. They just need to stop. They went to the Whipple building, which is the Fed building in Minneapolis. And, just stop. You guys are breaking the law. You are breaking the law by doing this. Okay? This is ridiculous. You need to understand you are breaking the law. And unfortunately, this independent individual who was armed, and not only that, but again, even if he was armed and just like put his hands up, didn't shoot, didn't do anything, didn't assault the ICE agents or resist arrest, none of that, any one of those things could have easily stopped this from happening. But yet, the mainstream media and the rest have all been pushing all of this. And so now what we're seeing is a continual breakdown of societal values in Minneapolis. And we're heading toward the use of the Insurrection Act. Well, not only that, but we also have more anti-ICE agitators, including some clergymen or women, I don't know, who were arrested at the Minneapolis airport. Demonstrators demanded that the airlines refuse cooperation with federal immigration enforcement. These guys showed up to the Minneapolis-St. Paul International Airport yesterday, and despite the frigid temperatures, and demanding that the airlines take a stand against the federal immigration enforcement. Do these people not understand? These people not understand? All this is doing is just trying to stop an organization tasked with the apprehension of illegal aliens within our country. End of story. And here we are, Minneapolis, Minnesota has decided to go down the insurrectionist path. Now, law enforcement at that particular juncture has not confirmed the number of arrests that were done there at the airport. Well, the Border Patrol commander provided an update on the fatal Border Patrol shooting. He, put out a video about it. Let's go ahead and take a quick listen to that.
As DHS law enforcement officers were conducting a targeted operation in Minneapolis against an illegal alien, Jose Huerta Chuma. You can see this illegal alien on the screen to my left and right. That is Jose Huerta Chuma, whose criminal history includes domestic assault to intentionally inflict bodily harm, disorderly conduct, and driving without a valid license. During this operation, an individual approached U.S. Border Patrol agents with a 9mm semi-automatic handgun. The agents attempted to disarm the individual, but he violently resisted. Fearing for his life and the lives and safety of fellow officers, a Border Patrol agent fired defensive shots. Medics on the scene immediately delivered medical aid to the subject, but the subject was pronounced dead at the scene. The suspect also had 2 loaded magazines and no accessible ID. This looks like a situation where an individual wanted to do maximum damage and massacre law enforcement.
Okay, so before he goes on, I want to point something out. First of all, at least I know, like in the state of Washington, okay, if you are a concealed carry licensed individual, you need to carry that license on you at all times when you are carrying. Now, you're not required necessarily to present it to law enforcement, but it's always a good idea to at least identify yourself as such. And the fact that this guy did not have any ID on him whatsoever, no identification, whether it was a driver's license, even like a lunch card from somewhere or a library card. The fact that he didn't have any identification on him makes it questionable as to why this guy was there and why this guy was carrying and why this guy had no ID. You would think that he would have an identification on him of some sort. And I would imagine that Minnesota would probably have some sort of a requirement that he would have to have if he is a licensed concealed carry. I got to check this, but a licensed concealed carry that he would essentially have to carry some sort of identification on him, I would imagine. I would imagine that it is some sort of state law with regards to that. But I'd have to look. I'd have to check. Regardless, you don't fight back when agents are attempting to disarm you. Now, here I have a question. It was -11 there today. Do you honestly believe that the ICE agents would be aware of the fact that he had a weapon had it not shown up? How would they have even known that he had a weapon in -11-degree weather if it was underneath his coat? Some people claim that the weapon that he had out was just a cell phone, and that's been debunked pretty quick. But anyway, I digress. Let's let Bovino finish.
About 200 rioters arrived at the scene and began to obstruct and assault law enforcement. Crowd control measures have been deployed for the safety of the public and law enforcement. This situation is evolving, and more information is forthcoming.
He's correct. The situation is evolving. More information is going to be forthcoming about it. And it's a sad situation, folks. But I'm just going to point this out. You know, I had a back and forth with some idiot on Facebook about the whole Renee Good thing, because I literally called out. I'm like, well, she was stupid. She was in an area that she shouldn't have been. She tried to run over an agent. Whether she intended on doing that or not is irrelevant. She did it by pressing down on the gas. And the person asked me, they were like, well, what if that was your kid? Or what if that was somebody that you knew? I'm a pretty practical guy. And while it may sound callous, here's the answer. And you can even, if you ever run across my son, you can ask him this too. But I'm a pretty practical guy. If you're breaking the law and you're doing it on purpose, you're breaking the law on purpose, focused. Hey, I'm doing this. And you get caught or something happens and you performed a stupid action, guess what? You deserve whatever you get. And I'm sorry that she lost her life, but she put herself in that situation. It was her choices that made that happen. This guy, it was his choices that made this happen. And while I may not necessarily agree with the fact that, was it warranted to shoot the guy? I don't know. I wasn't the one there. But what I can tell you is from a legal standpoint, and this has been held up in all kinds of case law, and this is a part of DOJ policy. If an officer has a reasonable belief that either they or fellow officers or other bystanders have the potential to be either seriously injured or killed by the actions of the, we'll call him the defendant, but by the actions of the individual, the criminal, they have the ability and the carte blanche right to shoot you. That's it. And by the way, for that idiot that was out there on Facebook, I think I blocked him already because they really got stupid. But for that idiot that was out on Facebook, yeah, actually, I do think that if you do something stupid and you don't walk away by an interaction with law enforcement because you yourself made a conscious decision and did something dumb, I'm going to hurt. Yeah, because I knew you. I'm going to be sad that you're gone. Yeah. But I'm certainly not going to blame the law enforcement officer necessarily. Now, if that person, if that individual, just as a suggestion, if that individual was standing there and held his hands up, kept his hands away from his weapon, was taken down hard by the police, and then shot, yeah, that would be a bit of a different story. But again, that's because you were doing everything. You were doing everything right. And if you still got shot, then you've got a case. But that isn't the case here. You fought with these guys. You fought with these law enforcement. Well, Minnesota leaders, yeah, they're not being smart either. They're being stupid as well. They're being completely stupid as well. Because you have good old Tampon Tim Walls, Tampon Tim, he posts on X, quote, I just spoke with the White House after another horrific shooting by federal agents this morning. Minnesota has had it. This is sickening. The president must end this operation. Pull the thousands of violent, untrained officers out of Minnesota now. Okay, there's only one problem with this particular thing. One, if Governor Tampon Tim had actually enforced federal law, the officers wouldn't be there. See, what you people don't seem to understand, and by you people, I'm not talking about my Whiskey Warrior P1s. I'm not talking about the intelligent conservatives out there. I'm talking to all the dumbass leftists that are sitting here saying, oh, this is an invasion. This is... Let me explain something to you. ICE is performing operations in states like Texas, in other red states like Florida, across the country. Now, you got to ask yourself, any intelligent person would ask the question, what is different about Texas and Florida that is not happening up in Minnesota? And I'll tell you what is pretty simple. Judge Grady, or sorry, not Judge Grady, Sheriff Grady Judd, or Judd Grady. I don't know. I can't remember his name. Anyway, I think it's Sheriff Grady. Sheriff Grady, he went and got all of his officers trained, signed up, and deputized as they should to go out and get these people. That's what a law enforcement officer does. That's what a proper law enforcement officer does. Thank you, 3 Chevy, Grady Judd. So this guy, this person, this individual known as Governor Tim Walz, and this other individual known as Jacob Frey, whatever, freaking idiot mayor of Minneapolis, these two have decided to act in an insurrectionist manner by not enforcing federal law as they are required by the Constitution, the Supremacy Clause, they are required to do. Now, the fact of the matter is this, that if Tim Walz and Mayor Frey, whatever his freaking name is, had bothered to do their constitutional obligation, they wouldn't have all of the ICE officers in their cities, in their state. They wouldn't be there. Okay? they wouldn't be there. Because if you had just taken the criminals that you arrested and called up ICE when you found out that they were an illegal alien, and if you had just done what you're supposed to do, called up ICE and said, hey, we got this guy, come and get him, then ICE wouldn't have to be roaming the streets picking these people up. But no, you morons decided to say, hey, we're just going to let these assholes out on the street again. So this is literally a bed of your making that you are deciding to lay in. But the sad part about this entire situation is the fact that you're not the ones paying the price. It's not you being shot. It's not you being beaten up. It's not you in all of this. It's the people of your state, because you've decided to whip them up into a frenzy and say, this is illegal. No, it's not. It's not even close to being illegal. It's not even close to being illegal. These people are doing their jobs. Now, Chief Brian O'Hara, who's the police chief, he's trying to come out and say, hey, this probably isn't something that we need to do. Apparently, he had an afternoon presser and he urged for calm. Because the anti-ICE protesters started flooding into the area where the shooting happened, he asked the people to stay away or leave if they are there. He said, quote, please do not destroy our own city. And then he called the grouping, and this is key, he called the grouping an unlawful assembly. Now, for those of you that don't know, once a group is called, or once a protest is called an unlawful assembly, now all of a sudden there's new rules involved. Now there's new rules involved. And the AP reported on the chaos with regards to this angry mob. It said an angry crowd gathered and screamed profanities at federal officers, calling them cowards and telling them to go home. About a block from the shooting scene, black smoke turned into the sky from where protesters had lit a fire in a metal dumpster. What the hell does that have to do with protesting ICE? Just asking the question. So, yeah. O'Hara, again, pointed out, our demand today is for those federal agencies that are operating in our city to do so with the same discipline, humanity, and integrity that effective law enforcement in this country demands. Well, how about you do effective law enforcement there, police chief, and get your officers going out and collecting these people like they're supposed to. Like they're supposed to. Now, at least O'Hara was like, we urge everyone to remain peaceful. We recognize that there is a lot of anger and a lot of questions about what has happened, but we need people to remain peaceful in the area. Mayor Fry, whatever, dumbass, spoke directly to Donald Trump in his remarks. He said, I just saw a video of more than 6 masked agents pummeling one of our constituents and shooting him to death. How many more residents, how many more Americans need to die or get badly hurt from this operation to end? How many more lives need to be lost before this administration realizes that a political and partisan narrative is not as important as American values? A couple of things off of that. Number one, he never once said that the guy was armed. Number two, he never once said that the guy was resisting arrest. Number three, he never once said that if the people had not gotten involved, ICE would have gone in quietly, gotten this criminal out, and they never would have been the wiser. See, this is the problem, folks. You stay out of their frickin' way, and I guarantee you, you will not be involved in any of this. And don't sit here and tell me that, oh my gosh, this is a neighbor, this is a American citizen. Not one single person that has been rounded up so far in Minnesota like this has been determined to be an American citizen and has been shipped off somewhere else. Not one single person. If you get collected and you are an American citizen, what ends up happening is you get released. You peacefully accept what's going on, confirm your identity, and you're done. You walk away. Everybody walks away. See, this is the part of the problem. See, you're making the decision to try and fight a law enforcement entity. You will lose almost every single time. And even if you win once, you may win the battle, but you ain't going to win the war. I guarantee you that. And what's even worse here is he's sitting here talking about 6 masked agents. Yes, they had masks on their face, but you know what they did have also? They had badges identifying themselves as police. They had badges identifying themselves as federal law enforcement. So there's no way that you could sit here and say, oh, this guy's a masked agent. No. He was a properly badged and identifiable law enforcement officer. End of story. Now, Ilhan Omar, of course, had to throw her own damn version of bullshit into it. She goes, I am absolutely heartbroken, horrified, and appalled that federal agents, check her words here, murdered another member of our community. It's beyond shameful these federal agents are targeting our residents instead of protecting them. And notice the words that she uses. See, murder sounds better than killed, sounds better than defended themselves. These are the words that these people are using. They are designed 100% to rile up the public. That's the point. Well, the Border Patrol Union blasted the media, the Minnesota politicians, and everything else. They say, quote, they are willfully misleading the public. So what they're saying, of course, and this is the Border Patrol Union, says Border Patrol agents are trained extremely well to protect themselves, their fellow agents, and innocent third parties. When a supposed peaceful protester brings a weapon, such as a loaded handgun, and brandishes it, which indicates that he pulled it out. That's what brandishing means. He actually pulled it out into view, which again, I'm just pointing out, if he hadn't opened up his coat, if he hadn't pulled it out of the holster, they never would have even known that he was armed, if that was the case. But he brandished the weapon, and then he goes there. The police or the Border Patrol Union post continues here. It says, brandishes it. There's going to be severe consequences and repercussions. We have pleaded with and warned the media and the politicians that their irresponsible, hate-filled, false rhetoric is going to get people unnecessarily hurt, or worse, killed, when they portray our agents and officers as the aggressors. Which is exactly what they've been doing. Because they have encouraged these reckless confrontations and attacks on our agents and officers who are performing their lawful duties and enforcing the laws that Congress has put on the books. The fake and dishonest media and shameless politicians should be held accountable or willfully misleading the public and enticing these protesters and agitators. We have full confidence that when more facts are revealed, our agents and officers will be shown to have utilized justifiable force in eliminating the threat. And this is true. This is exactly true. Well, somebody somewhere in the Democrat Party has actually admitted the fact that ICE does serve the public interests and is actually begging for these leftist lunatics to stop the obstruction. Representative Jared Golden out of Maine is one of the few Democrats around the country who is actually urging his constituents not to interfere with the ICE operations currently underway in Maine. Golden stated that these operations, part of Operation Catch of the Day, announced by the Department of Homeland Security, serve the public interest. I can't, I'm just going to say, I'm amazed that there's a Democrat with a brain out there. Because this is exactly what they should all be doing. So Golden took an unusually firm stance on his statement, emphasizing a targeted law enforcement operation focused on individuals who have engaged in criminal activity serves the public interest. He also reminded his constituents that while peaceful protests are a protected right, obstructing law enforcement activities is unacceptable. I'm going to put is illegal on the end of that. He says, regardless of how anyone feels about immigration's policies or ICE tactics, people must not instruct or impede law enforcement activities. And he's right. He is right. Now, Senator Collins, Susan Collins, also pointed out that people who are in this country legally would not or should not be targets of ICE investigations. They should be able to continue to go about their work, school, or other public places and carry on with their normal lives. She is right. She is correct. Well, now we have another moron down in Arizona. This is a Dem. Of course, a Democrat. They are stupid, these Democrats. This Arizona Democrat Attorney General. Oh my God, this is an AG. This is an Attorney General. What the hell is wrong with these lawyers? They don't seem to get it. They don't seem to get it. But this Attorney General, oh my God. She's Attorney General Chris Mays. She said probably one of the most stupidest things I have ever heard in my entire life. Go ahead and take a listen to this whopper.
The other thing I want to bring up with you that I'm worried about that makes Arizona very, very different from almost every other state where this buildup is happening, Graham, is that we're a stand your ground state. We have one of the most expansive stand your ground laws in the entire country that rivals even Florida. We also have a lot of guns in Arizona. We're a gun culture in this state. And, it's kind of a recipe for disaster because you have these masked federal officers with very little identification, sometimes no identification, wearing plain clothes and masks. And we have a stand your ground law that says that if you reasonably believe that your life is in danger and you're in your house or your car or on your property, that you can defend yourself with lethal force.
Okay, did you catch what she just said? Now, the funny part about it is the video that goes along with this, and I know those who are part of the audio portion of the program don't see this, but even the plainclothes agents are walking around with a badge hanging from their neck. I don't know how much more identification you would necessarily need in this case. But she's sitting here and she is clearly suggesting that, hey, you could stand your ground and shoot these people and be perfectly fine. Now, she goes on to add that, according to her, ICE officers are very poorly trained. Again, this is a talking point of the left. Every single officer, every single federal agent goes through the exact same training. There is none of this crap. Whether you're FBI, whether you're ICE, whether you're Secret Service, they all go through the exact same basic training. Okay? Every single one. And she's sitting here and she's trying to institute or saying, like, hey, you know what? They're not real law enforcement officers. That's what she says. They're not real law enforcement officers. Well, I'm going to point something out. They're not real, huh? They're not real law enforcement. Really? Really? You dumbass Democrat? They're not real law enforcement? Let me just point out Title 8, U.S. Code 1357, Powers of Immigration Officers and Employees. Well, let's see. They actually have more expansive powers than your standard police, by the way. In case you didn't know. Because they can actually do things without a warrant. For an example, they can interrogate any alien or person believed to be an alien as to his right to remain in the United States. They can talk to anybody who is believed to be an alien. They can do this without a warrant, folks. They don't need a warrant to talk to you. They have the ability, without a warrant, to arrest any alien who, in his presence or view, is entering or attempting to enter the United States in violation of any law or regulation, blah, blah, blah. I mean, continue on, but here it is. This is right here in the law. This is the law, folks. The law. Now, I'm going to point out, if you sit here and you think that they're not a regular law enforcement officer, hey, sister, AG, dumb ass, let me point this out to you right here. Right here. They have the power to make an arrest for any offense against the United States if the offense is committed in the officer's presence. They also can make an arrest for any felony cognizable under the laws of the United States if the officer or the employee, in this case the officer, has reasonable grounds to believe that the person to be arrested has committed or is committing such a felony. Now, if they're not regular officers, why do they have this power? Why are they able to arrest you for anything? Anything. Provided that they see it. They can arrest you for any offense. They can arrest you for any felony. As long as they have reasonable grounds. Now, where in this do you see any ambiguity where they are not a regular law enforcement officer? I really would like to understand. I really would like to understand where this attorney general, who's supposed to be a lawyer of the highest caliber, it's obviously not the case because we've seen it with frickin' Jasmine Crockett, who was supposed to be a lawyer. We've seen it with Fannie Willis, who was supposed to be a lawyer. We've seen it with Letitia James, who's supposed to be a lawyer. Just because I happen to hit 3 women doesn't mean anything, because Attorney General Keith Ellison is another idiot that's out there. Folks, these officers are federal officers. They have gone through federal officer training that is required by the federal government. They can't just go and just hire somebody off the street and go, hey, by the way, you're now an ICE agent. Here's your gun. Here's your badge. Just go do whatever it is that you want to do. No, they don't do it that way. They don't do it that way, people. They all go through Quantico. They all go through the same damn training. They all go through because you can leave ICE and become an FBI agent. You can leave ICE and become a Secret Service agent if you're hired on. Your training is essentially the exact same at the basic. Just think of it as basic training for all military. Basic training. Seriously. I mean, this is freaking ridiculous to sit here and perpetuate the myth that these are not standard police officers. Yes, they are. By the way, the police association went ahead and blasted this stupid Arizona attorney general by the name. By the way, her name is Kris Mayes. Kris with a K, Kris Mayes. The Arizona Police Association blasted her for her comments about the legal justification in shooting of ICE agents. People are so damn dumb. I can't even. The Arizona Police Association Executive Director Joe Klur said, quote, during a televised interview with 12 News, that's a news outlet in Arizona, journalist Bram Resnick, regarding a potential ICE deployment in Arizona, the Attorney General was asked whether she had a message for protesters. She responded by urging them to remain peaceful, respectful, and restrained, stating that she would, quote, protect them. Then it continues and says, however, the interview quickly shifted to the discussion of Arizona's self-defense and stand your ground laws. In that context, Attorney General Mayes went on to describe scenarios under which a person could claim legal justification for shooting a law enforcement officer, specifically citing the possibility of ICE agents might not be easily identifiable due to the masks or non-traditional uniforms. Yeah. Later in the letter, the people said, as Arizona's chief law enforcement officer, the Attorney General has the responsibility to de-escalate, not inflame. We find these remarks reckless, irresponsible, and dangerous to the safety of all law enforcement professionals in this state. Yeah. They're fomenting. They're looking to foment all of this, folks. The Democrats want this to happen. They want this to happen under Trump's watch. They want insurrection, not the claimed false insurrection of January 6th. They want real insurrection. They actually want the people to rise up because they want Donald Trump to go ahead and announce the Insurrection Act. They want him to put out the military. They want him to look like a dictator because they can use that to their unfounded advantage, especially before before November of 2026. They are really looking to make this a huge issue for the midterms because they are losing on every single level and every single aspect. And every win that Trump and his administration racks up, whether it's the economy, immigration, Greenland, NATO, you could go on and on and on. The more that he keeps racking up wins that are popular, that are 80-20 issues, the more the leftists are losing ground. And they hate it. They hate it. So they are going to do everything that they can in their power to try and harm Trump again. Because, I mean, even Jack Smith on the Hill was shown, demonstrated clearly that it was a 100% political, not legal, but political attack against Donald Trump. Now, in our final closing minutes, I just want to point out, our closing minute, I should say, I just want to point out that the House has passed a spending bill. Now, remember, we're up against the clock again for spending and a possible shutdown of government. Personally, I'm like, hey, just shut the whole goddamn thing down because let's be honest, we really don't need government anyway. But all of that being said, the House went ahead and passed a bill that includes a large piece of DHS funding. The leftist lunatics of the Democrat Party were all over the social media saying, I'm voting no because I don't want DHS and ICE to have any more freaking funding. Well, now it goes to the Senate. Chuck Schumer has another shutdown potentially on his hands. Now, Donald Trump has already said, I think we're going to have another shutdown. The two consolidated bills, by the way, which is the 2026 budget appropriations, the two consolidated bills go to the Senate, and Schumer is going to have some choices to make. Is he going to lead the Democrats into another shutdown, which didn't go very well for them last time? Or is he going to actually allow them to pass quietly? We're going to have to see. We're going to have to see which way these people are going to go. But I'm just going to tell you right now, none of this is ever really going to look good on the Democrats except for their dumbass sycophantic followers that all seem to believe that all of this stuff is, illegal, that ICE is untrained, and all this other bullshit that the mainstream media has been putting out. And it's all crap. It's all crap. By the way, this show is a lot more accurate and truthful than any mainstream media outlet out there. I'm just saying. All right, folks, that is it for me for this evening. Do me a favor. If you haven't already, head on over to rumble.com. Get yourself an account. It is free. And once you are signed up and signed in, make sure that you search for the American Perspective channel and hit that green follow button to get notified every time I go live. Also, too, don't forget to give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, or in the case of 3 Chevy, a thumb sideways across all of my platforms, whether it's X, YouTube, Facebook, or, of course, the aforementioned Rumble. We will see you Monday right here. 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern Time on American Perspective. Have a great rest of your weekend. Pray for those who have been affected by the storm. Pray for those who have been affected by these incidents. And pray specifically for the city of Minneapolis that whatever is in the water no longer affects them. We'll see you Monday. Have a great rest of your weekend. Good night, everybody.